to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
Take a trip to the era that marked the birth of the first decade of rock and roll. 50s gold. From doo-wop on the street corner to the R&B girl groups. From the country crossover to the crooners. Hear Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, and more. To hear 50s gold on SiriusXM, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
You deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
When you're a SiriusXM subscriber, you've got access to commercial-free music, channels from almost every genre, and channels created in conjunction with the biggest names in music. Eminem's Shade 45, Pearl Jam Radio, Bruce Springsteen's E Street Radio, and more. Visit www.SiriusXM.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now. Activate your radio and start listening now.
Saviors. Get ready for their epic summer 2024 tour with a limited-run SiriusXM channel, Green Day Radio, and an exclusive small stage performance from the iconic Irving Plaza in New York City. Hear every note. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Channel 107 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app. Get closer to everything that moves you, wherever you are.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Harvey, Steve Martin, Seth Rogen, Amy Schumer. You now are the first guest to ever give me a plug.
I've been wanting to plug you since I met you.
Unparalleled humor. Chris Rock.
James Brown grabbed my hair one day. He said, boy, you know what you need to do with that? You need to put some vinegar in there and turn it.
The Howard Stern Show on Howard 100.
To hear Howard 100 and Howard 101, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, veni vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is John of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And you can give that some praise. What do they say? They say it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It really is a beautiful day in the neighborhood in Denver Hills, California. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya with a good Lord split ya on a beautiful January the 19th in 2024. I'm so happy about today. I'm telling you, I love what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. I know we're coming to the end of this week. Started on Monday with MLK holiday marches all over the country, except for in some places where they said it was too cold to march. Not too cold to go to a caucus meeting, if that makes sense to you. It was too cold to march, but not too cold to go to an NFL football game in Kansas City where people got frostbite, if that makes sense to you. All's fair and love and work. I do want to tell you, you can follow Big C Sports Podcast on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast. You can find us Big C Sports on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbang, Verbo Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't, is allfeeds.ai. Give that some praise. Because the robots are trying to take over. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming, OTT, on 4 TV podcast platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I love giving that praise. Nothing wrong with praise. I am working on my mic levels sometimes. When I got this artificial intelligence implanted into my platform, sometimes it talks when it wants to talk, and it screams really loud. You ever have somebody scream really loud? Hey, down in front! It screams like that. I want to say I love what I do with Big C Sports, and it's just my opinion, but I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues? 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise. Give it praise because we all need somebody to lean on, especially our first responders. They do a good job helping people get help. And I love our first responders. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. And people all over the world. Thank goodness God doesn't make us pay the light bill that the sun provides. Some light bills are going up. Light bills are going up so high, they even say that solar is supposed to be free. Well, if solar is free, why do they still send me a bill? Because they told me if I get this solar plant and put it on top of the property, they said my electricity would be free. But they forgot to tell me that the fine print says only if you generate enough electricity. Sometimes they all got to sell something. Just be careful out there. Read the fine print. I want to say what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. And I'm telling you, we could all use more laughter in our lives. I know I could use more laughter. I really do appreciate that. And then, oh my goodness, have a lot of great stuff coming up with the NFL Plus this weekend. But then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Oh my goodness, 49ers first and 10, 50-yard line, Purdy up to the line of scrimmage, 4 wideouts, 5-man front by the Packers. The snap, he's rolling to his right, rolling. He throws downfield, the ball is caught. Catch for the touchdown, 50 yards, Deebo Samuel. I'm going to see if the 49ers can avoid the upset bug. They've beaten Green Bay every playoff game since 2013 when Colin Kaepernick was doing his thing back at the old Counter-State Park, if that makes sense to you. I think I'll give you my Big C's thoughts coming up in this game. I don't think 800 gamblers showing up in this game. Maybe the point spread, because the point spread is 9.5, and that's a lot for a playoff game. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers blow them out. But what's love got to do with it? We will find out. Then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City, and then 4 TV platforms streaming also out of New York City. And number 10, I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports with the crew back in the day at Salem Media through good and bad days. What did Frankie Beverly sing? He said, joy and pain are like sunshine and rain. Come on, sing it with me. Joy, pump it up, and pain. Pump it up like sunshine and rain. We want the real Frankie Beverly. So we're going to get the real old Frankie Beverly, but you get to be the real Big C. That makes sense. I understand. I would rather listen to Frankie Beverly too, and then they get my screaming butt on the microphone, talk about we gotta. I know I got an announcement to make that thank you for spending all your money on the Frankie Beverly concert. Give you some praise. People start clapping. People, they've been here a long time. They say we have an announcement to make. Performing along with Frankie Beverly is Big C Beverly. Give him the praise. They're like, we don't want to hear him. Well, you got me. That's what it is. You don't really fit. I want to say, life is funny, man. You go out and you want to go to a concert, and they tell you the main person doesn't show up, but you got the sidekick. When you go to see Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5, he broke off from the Jackson 5 because he thought maybe they were just slowing him down a little bit. And I don't think they were slowing him down a little bit. Michael Jackson had such a talent, you really couldn't duplicate that anywhere in the universe. He needed his own stage. And people say, oh, I don't believe that, Curry. Well, when Tito started performing his songs, it didn't sell like Michael Jackson. When Jermaine started selling his songs, it didn't sell like Michael Jackson. When Marlon started doing his thing, it didn't sell like Michael Jackson. When Janet Jackson started doing her thing, it didn't sell like Michael Jackson. Michael was an original. He was very, I guess you could say, eclectic in his dress, but also ethereal in his thinking. He saw things that people didn't see. And even if you think about the song Off the Wall, Living Off the Wall, what song, Joey? I said, okay, don't turn off this equipment, and I hope this is not blasphemy. So tonight, yeah, you're gonna leave that 9 to 5 up on the shelf and just enjoy yourself. Come on and groove, yeah. Let the magic in the music get to you. Life ain't so bad at all, cause you're living off the wall. Life ain't so bad enough. We want to kill Michael Jackson. Well, you know you can't have him right now. But I'm doing my best. Don't complain. Do your best. Oh, they want the real Michael Jackson. I know you gotta know when. What did Kenny Rogers tell us? He said you gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. We want the real Kenny Rogers. Well, I guess I'm going to give up on trying to sing like some of the greats, if that makes sense to you. But give me some praise anyway, because I'm doing my best. Even though you climb in a tall mountain and you try to sing like Michael Jackson or even dance like Michael Jackson. I remember back in the days at the clubs, there were guys that always tried to dance like Michael Jackson, and nobody could dance like Michael Jackson. He was an original, and that's why I love Living Off the Wall, if that makes sense to you. Living so bad, living off the wall. Off the wall. I told you we want the real Michael Jackson. Well, you can't get the real Michael Jackson. But be that as it may, I was feeling like living off the wall because I've been listening to some good music, and Michael Jackson is definitely something. If you ever want to feel like dancing, oh, don't let me start it. Dancing. She's like a machine. Okay, that's Michael Jackson. But that was a Jackson 5 dancing machine. Automatic, systematic. Okay, I don't know all the words, but shame on me. Enough, I know when to stop. But Michael Jackson sang songs going back 50 years. Can you imagine when he appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, I believe? And the Jackson 5 were amazing. Dick Clark, back in the day, with his TV program. Why you keep talking about the Jacksons, BC? Because when we think about dancing and shucking and jiving, there are things that we remember about Michael Jackson that makes you want to live in that moment again. Almost everybody all over the world, when Michael Jackson's songs came on, people started dancing. And you know it. Everybody loved the King of Pop. And he was such a great performer. And when he did the moonwalk, I think it was 1983, on a TV program, people started trying to do the moonwalk like the great Michael Jackson could do the moonwalk. They just couldn't get it down. But they tried to. They tried looking like Michael Jackson. They started dancing like Michael Jackson. They started trying to sing like Michael Jackson. A lot of men, they couldn't hit that high note where you could almost sound like a woman. And people know that. But that's a skill. And that brother was amazing. Now imagine the way people know Michael Jackson all over the world play any of his songs. From the song Ben back in the day, he had a rat. And you couldn't afford a dog, get a rat. He had a friend named Ben. And I'm not going to try to sing it because I don't want to block the speakers. Thank goodness. But can you imagine how people just remember Michael Jackson, how great he was? But what he did that was so brilliant, his songs, it would be repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. It's the mother of all learning. And that's what I love about Michael Jackson's songs. He may be gone, but his songs will live on. And just imagine if we could take that same beat and start championing for reparations. When I do my song, it's called Reparations Now, Reparations Forever. And people give that praise. I'm looking for praise too, because I'm trying to sing my reparations song. It is called Reparations Now, Reparations Forever. Now, I may not do the moonwalk like Michael Jackson, but I am going to do something like Michael Jackson did. He kept performing. It's the repetition of words and songs with a nice beat behind it. You know, there's all the Big C Sports podcasts that comes with a beat, with a soundtrack at the same time. I want to make sure that when people think about Big C Sports, they think about reparations now, reparations forever. Because that's important. And imagine what it happens. And so no matter what people think about reparations happening or not, I want to make sure I do my part with that. And that's to me is something that I love. I also want to take the time to pay homage to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because we started this week with his holiday.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
That's important that you hear that. I love paying homage to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because just like we know Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, and both men, iconic men, are gone. But ironically, people still play Michael Jackson songs all the time. You can hear it on the radio. You can go to a club and people are playing Michael Jackson, whether it's Living Off the Wall or, Leave That 9 to 5 Up on the Shelf. Life Ain't So Bad at All. Billie Jean's Not My Son. Beat It. Remember Beat It that came out? And you can still hear people sing Why, Tell Them That It's Human Nature. You can hear Michael Jackson songs everywhere. And he was a great entertainer. And there's nothing wrong with saying how great he was as an entertainer because he was. He was maybe the best entertainer in the history of the universe. As great as Michael Jackson was. And I still remember a lot of his songs that I danced to growing up over the years. But I want to ask you also, because there are gatekeepers, and I'm trying to get to the gatekeepers that have decency in their hearts. It's great to listen to Michael Jackson songs. I hear it playing so many times, different locations, whether that's a restaurant or somebody's stereo blasting out, driving by, in the gas station for some people. But what if you were to look at his most seminal figures in the history of the United States, would you say it was Michael Jackson or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Which one? Because Michael Jackson was a great performer. Have you not been entertained? Not knocking him being entertained. But just imagine, Dr. King did more for society than Michael Jackson. Oh, there you go again, Big C, comparing the King of Pop with Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, the truth is, they were both called kings. One was called the King of Pop. The other was called the King of Men and the King of Nations. So what if the mainstream accepted Dr. King's his speech about going to get our check? Don't you think that would have touched the hearts of people, not just in the United States, but all over the world? To me, that's so important. I love saying that because we are on the back nine of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and I went to a parade. A lot of people did different things to celebrate. But ironically, It's like people do it for one day, and then it's gone until the next year. But I hear Michael Jackson songs playing all the time. You can go to a gym, they're playing Michael Jackson. You can go to a grocery store, they're playing Michael Jackson. Sometimes just going to get some gas, or at the car wash, somebody's blasting Michael Jackson. And it's amazing how Dr. King had a much more powerful speech, and it doesn't get the same airtime. You probably heard we're going to get our check on Big C Sports more this week than you heard it all year on any other program outside of MLK Day. That's the only day that most people would think about Dr. King. But they think about Michael Jackson, every day radio stations play it. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to be able to have a platform that I can pay homage to our leaders, the King of Pop and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I want to give that some praise. I want to give him praise. And you can't please everybody, but Dr. King was a great man. The King of Pop was a great entertainer. But Michael Jackson, he had a song called We Are the World. Oh, you guys want me to sing it? We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day, so let's start living. There's a joy in nations. We're saving all. Okay, enough, Big C. Enough. We get it. But see, he sang We Are the World, but Dr. King touched the world. But the way the mainstream has it, they play more Michael Jackson so we can sing and be entertained than the message of Dr. King that needs to march on through the halls of Washington, D.C., through every university, through the House and the Senate, the walls of Congress, the Oval Office, because he talked about something that's so real. How do you compare the King of Pop to Dr. King, Big C? I just told you they were both kings. Michael Jackson saying we are the world. We are the children. We are the ones to make a brighter day, so let's start living. But it was Dr. King that said we come to get our check. And I just hope that we can get that same mantra for Dr. King in the halls of Congress. Because reparations is about to happen. I know people laughed at Noah when Noah was building the ark. He built the ark 75 years before the flood came. People say, you're a fool. You're out here trying to build the ark in the desert. According to scripture, he built the ark while he was being ridiculed. But he built the ark. Dr. King was trying to build his ark too. And he said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Dr. King built an ark too. You heard about it. He said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And that's why it's so important to me as we come up on NFL playoff, because a lot of our men and women that will go to these stadiums to watch people play with balls, and they'll dance and shout and stick the body down to the ground when Michael Jackson comes on at a concert or at a club, or in someone's having barbecue in the park. They're playing, dance and shout, shake your body down to the ground, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Dr. King had a dream too, and because I know reparations is about to happen, just like Noah built the ark, I just want to ask more people to stand behind that message, because it was a message about unity and egalitarianism. He wasn't dancing, but he was shouting. He wasn't shaking his body down to the ground, but he was giving God praise, and I love giving that praise. It's important to me because somehow we got sidetracked from the days of Dr. Martin Luther King saying, next time we come to Washington, we're going to get a check. And I hope that we, as good people all over this country, can stand behind that. That's why I want to give that praise. If I don't do it, then I'm disingenuous. I believe in you either lead or follow, get out of the way. And I know that reparations is about to happen for the descendants of chattel slavery in California. So before I get into some NFL playoff, because I know those big, tall, strong, fast NFL football players, for some reason they say they love Dr. King, but they won't care at that message that you just heard Big C Sports play. And they play in front of 80,000 people in a football stadium. But there's somebody telling them not to talk anything about reparations. That's the only conclusion I can come to. But I must be wrong, because President Joe Biden said he wants to study reparations. And I know it's important. People say, man, you talk about it all the time. Well, so did Michael Jackson. He said, tell him that it's human nature. Why? Tell him that it's human nature. Living off the wall. Beat it. No one wants to be defeated. Don't get me started now. You don't want me to sing Beat It. But when you think about it, we got to beat down the cynicism when people are, they never going to pass no reparation. We got to pull up Michael Jackson said and say, beat it, beat it, beat it. No one wants to be defeated. Okay, I'm not trying to blaspheme Michael Jackson's songs. But when he's saying beat it, people get on the dance floors and they'll dance and they'll shout and they'll shake their body down to the ground. What do we have that same belief in the other king? Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Dr. King, the king of men. And the king of women. And he had a message that was much more edifying than dancing and shouting and shaking the body down to the ground. You got to give that some praise. Because it's starting to happen. And I'm emboldened. I love it. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. I already told you this weekend, I just came across the path of one of the task force. In fact, two of the task force members. I was at a restaurant called Fixin', going to get some pho king noodles, if that makes sense to you, and some collard greens. And I met Dr. Amos C. Brown. He got out of the car. His son, I guess some gentleman let him out. I don't know if it's son or not. But anyway, I want to give praise to Camila Moore. She's the chair of the, please pay attention to this, she's the chair of the California Reparations Task Force. And she's brilliant. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I want to thank, and again, I met him again, and he said, hey, Mr. Curry. I said, Mr. Brown, how you doing, sir? He said, Mr. Curry. And I like I said the other day, I showed him a picture where we taken a picture before. He said, could you send that to my cell phone? And I said, what's your cell phone number? And he said his area code. He said his area code. Well, let me not get about his cell number. But he gave me a cell number. I sent him the picture, and then I called him and invited him to a meeting that I'm part of on the 27th in Denver Hills, California. But I want to give him praise to that. And then I want to thank the number one senator in the United States. That's California Senator Stephen Bradford. And he authored Name, Image, and Likeness for college kids to get paid. He also authored the Ebony Alert to help law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding black children when they go missing as they do in finding white children when they go missing. And then he's also on the California Reparations Task Force. Just went down to his office just a couple of days ago. And also Double O, part of the National Black Wall Street Project, she went there. And Brother Lean, part of the National Black Wall Street Project, he went there. And then Big C went there as well and got a picture with the gentleman. And just let them know that we want to support Senate Bill 490 for reparations. I know it's not as exciting as dancing and shouting and shaking body down to the round or beat it, beat it, beat it. No one wants to be defeated. But it aligns me more with Dr. King when he said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And imagine if we had that mantra of repeating reparations now, reparations forever. And put it in a song. There's some good entertainers out there that can put it in a song. I think Common had a song called Glory. One day when the glory comes, it'll be ours. It'll be ours. Okay, love Big C. But you understand the point. He has all those sound control synthesizers make him sound good. I'm doing mine with apple cider and vinegar. If that makes sense to you. But the point is, I'm trying to reach out to our black entertainers and white entertainers too. Imagine how people love songs. When are we gonna? I mean, Stevie Wonder did a song about Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King. I'm not gonna sing it. I may as well do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. We want the real Stevie Wonder. I understand. But imagine if our entertainers that are so brilliant they can sing songs and people will remember them for centuries. And for sure for decades. Think about that. From the Star Spangled Banner to the most recent Two Live Crew song, if that makes sense to you. Or the Michael Jackson song, Tell 'Em About Human Nature. Or Stevie Wonder, Happy Birthday, Dr. King. But Dr. King's thinking about getting his check. And that's a mantra going on, just as people become cynical, that mantra's going on right now in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. I know you want to stand up for the kickoff. But imagine when reparations happens and the people that help push that you got to push that door open. Because there are a lot of people trying to help us pull it open as we're pushing it open. And imagine if our entertainers started singing about it. If we can sing about mayhem and dropping it like it's hot and blippity blop and bloopity bloop and blippity blop, blippity bloop. We can sing about that. We can pay homage to Dr. King in our songs. That's not too much. I do it all the time. Yeah, you may not want me to sing too much because you can't take it. Sometimes I can't take it either. But can you imagine if we get some of our entertainers to do what Stevie Wonder did when he sang Happy Birthday, Dr. King, and have them start talking about reparations, like Common kind of touched on it when he sang the song Glory. One day when the glory comes. Remember that, because that's important. If we can do that, imagine how the world will start taking a grasp and realizing what's in the House and the Senate right now, and that's reparations. It's in the Senate for California, in the legislature. And Senator Bradford, maybe they should do a song about him. National Black Wall Street wants to do a golf tournament for him. Why not? Because if you think about it, I know you want to watch the game, but I'm talking to black Americans and white Americans too. Imagine when the repair is done. You ever have your car that's up for the repair? You go to put your car that's up. They say, "Oh, we're going to need it for 3 days." 3 days, okay. They give you a loaner car for 3 days. But when 3 days turns into 400 years, lightning strike. They got to repair it. You know, if your car was in the shop for 3 days and they tell you it's going to take 3 days, by day 4, you're down there asking Mr. Mechanic, what's taking so long with the car? What's taking so long? You said 3 days and I got the loaner, but you said 3 days. And he said, well, we're almost done. I got my best guys on it right now. And they're back there eating lunch on the car. There was a TV commercial about that. But imagine if we can get our entertainers to start singing about going to get our check. Because Dr. King talked about that. You can't say you love Dr. King if you don't love his message. He wasn't just for sitting down at the table of brotherhood. He said next time we go to Washington, D.C., we're coming to get our check. A check that was promised through reparations. And just like your car sitting down at the dealership for 400 years, people have died waiting for that car to be repaired. Oh, how you compare a car with reparations, BC? Because they're both about being repaired, aren't they? You know, if they told you your car's ready in 3 days and it's not, you're going to go down there and want to talk to the mechanic. Why is it taking so long? You told me 3 days. Well, what do you say if the mechanic says we need a few more days? What do you say to the United States government? Slavery should have never existed, but even through the Emancipation Proclamation, when slavery was abolished in 1863 and fully abolished in 1865 in Texas, and we were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, according to President Abraham Lincoln, you get upset when your car's in the shop for more than 3 days? How about from 1865 to 2024? Are you not upset? Are you not upset? And that's why I'm asking entertainers, the good ones, not the bad ones, the good ones, sing about reparations. Ask the good people of Congress and the president to sign it into law. You can get us some praise. It's just a thought. But I just did a performance with Michael Jackson, did a performance with Dr. King. I mentioned Stevie Wonder, even Johnny Cash. There's a lot of people who have a better voice than I do, and I know that. But at least I made an effort. And you might think, oh, there he is, he's just trying to make efforts. But at least I made an effort. And my show is growing. Me talking about sports and politics, it got me to meet with senators about helping support them and telling them what we want as a people. What if other people started doing that? Our entertainers, because music's all over the world. If you love Dr. King, then why wouldn't you champion what he stood for? And he was for reparations. Liberty and justice for all. He was for all that good stuff. Who could be against Dr. King? Who could be against Dr. King? But the J. Edgar Hoover administration, he was on a hate list. He was one of America's most hated men by certain people of the government. They didn't want equality. They didn't want that check to be written. But he did the right thing. And I know you love sports, and I love it too. And I want to make sure on the back line of the MLK holiday that I don't want to just be one of those guys that say we love Dr. King but do nothing for him. And that's why I just love giving that praise. I love giving it praise. And I really do appreciate California Senator Stephen Gossett. And then I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. As a Japanese American, he already received reparations for the internment camps. I love giving him praise. Give it praise, praise, praise! So no one can say, oh, Big C, you have all these suggestions. Why don't you do it? And I just did. I championed Michael Jackson. I championed Stevie Wonder. I championed Johnny Cash. I championed those great entertainers. I championed Common because they have a worldwide audience, and they say they love Dr. King. So if you love me, then why don't you say what I was saying? It's like somebody saying they love you, but they don't do anything for you. They don't call and check on you. They don't even make sure you got food to eat, food in the belly, place to sleep. They don't even call and check on you. They just come by when they want something. When they want to have some funky noodles. But is that the only time they call you, when they want some funky noodles? They want to have some pho noodles? Think about that. Next time you deal with somebody, they only come by when they want something. They don't do anything for you. But Dr. King did a lot for us, more than entertainers. I just want to give that praise as I get into some sports. I want to thank this is CNN, proud sponsor of Big C Sports. I want to say thank you to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I won $6 million. I love what I do with Big C Sports. I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me Executive Order 13985. She's an excellent researcher. You can Google what she sent, Executive Order 13985. She already did the work. All you got to do is Google it. It talked about further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. She sent that to me. You ain't got to figure it out. Just Google it. It was President Joe Biden's first order when he signed himself into office. It's important. It said on his first day in office, he signed the Executive Order 13985, January 20, 2021, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government, which charged the federal government with advancing equity for all, including communities that have long been underserved. You know, like the communities that did not participate in the Homestead Act of 1863 and 1862. That community. And he said that systemic racism in our nation's policies and programs, by advancing equity through the federal government, can support and empower all Americans, including the many communities in America that have been underserved, are not granted the Homestead Act. How can anyone be opposite reparations if you could even Google what the Homestead Act was all about? It's about advancing white people, giving them land grants, resources, schools, colleges, business. They didn't have to work for it. They didn't have to pay it back. I just love that statement because you can Google it. It's so important. I even want to thank Double O for sending me this information on the United Nations. It says that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. So all these things are so important. Freedmen's Bank that President Abraham Lincoln helped create, he signed it by executive order, so black Americans will have a place to put their money. And we know that they stole the money. They had 50 white appointees, and they stole all the money. I want to thank NBC News and the Associated Press that did an article on Charlton Curry and Big C Sports, March 30, 2023. It says Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast. Cash payments are necessary and money talks. That's important to me because the Associated Press, they did their credibility, they did their homework, and they said, well, this Big C guy, he's telling the truth. You think they would have put me on their programs if I was shucking and jiving? They couldn't say that I was lying because I validated with the footnotes. You can Google it. And that's what I want people to do with Dr. King's speech. I'm doing it on my program, and I think more and more people who are decent, they want reparations to happen. I talked about the lobbyist that I met at the Senate yesterday. The white lady, I never met her. She's a lobbyist. And I asked her, did she support reparations, support the bill, SB 490? And tell her other lobbyists. She said yes. I asked, will you do it? She said yes. So it's about people of good color and good faith. I just hope that makes sense to people, because mainstream media wants to make it about black versus white. No, the Homestead was about black versus white. Slavery was about black versus white. Jim Crow laws were about black versus white. And now you have some governors like Ron DeSantis, they want to cancel black history. I think in 27 states, you can be fired for teaching black history. What? Yep, in 2024, you can Google it. And that's why it's so important. People understand HR 40, you can Google it. You can understand AB 3121 for reparations. You can Google that too. To me, I'm so happy to be a part of this. I'm going to touch on some sports coming up in a bit, but I do know that Governor Hochul in New York is pro-reparations, studying reparations. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom, he's pro-reparations. But there's about laws, how you get it done, and that's what I love about Senator Stephen Bradford. Well, that's my story that I'm sticking with it. You can give that some praise. I really do appreciate my family legacy and all my help over the years of doing basic sports. My great-grandparents, my parents, my grandparents, my mother and father, of course, brothers and sisters, beautiful children, anyone that supported me doing basic sports, I really do appreciate that. But I want to say, let's get ready to rumble. I want to touch on something, because coming up over the weekend, we have some NFL football. And I know just because I say reparations should be important to everybody, it doesn't mean that it is. But we do have the NFL divisional playoffs, and that's important to a lot of people that will sit on the sofa for 4 hours or even 3 hours for a game and watch every game on a Saturday and a Sunday. Got NFL divisional round playoff games in the schedule. So for people that say, man, you talk too much about reparations, my show's only an hour every day, Monday through Friday. But there are people who watch sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it does nothing for black people. The NFL playoff divisional round scheduled for the 2023 season is stacked with great matchups, and we've got you covered. What you need to know heading into the weekend. I'm telling you, there's so many great games that are projected to be great games, but who knows? They play to win the game, and that's what they got to do. I'm going to start off with the Houston Texans, the number 4 seed at the number 1 Baltimore Ravens, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff, East Coast time on ESPN and ABC plus ESPN plus. Now, Baltimore's favored by 9.5 points. If you favored by 9.5 points, you got a good chance of winning that game based on the pundits. The over-under is 43.5. What you got to watch for is that the Baltimore Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson, up for the NFL MVP this year. He's 0-2 in the divisional rounds, throwing 1 touchdown pass and 3 interceptions. But the Texans are 0-4 in the divisional round, losing by an average of 14.5 points. Baltimore will win this game. They're not going to get Superman Jackson out of the playoffs. In fact, my thoughts now is they're just as strong as anybody in NFL football, but we see what happens in the game. So Texas quarterback is C.J. Stroud. He's poised to throw for about 280 yards. If he can throw the ball through the air, become the first quarterback to achieve that feat against the Ravens since Tom Brady threw for 325 yards October 27, 2022. Now, C.J. Stroud, he led the league in pass yards per game at 273 and could have thrown for well over 300 in the wildcard game against the Cleveland Browns, that at that time number 1 ranked defense, and he threw for 236 yards in the first half alone. So the stat to watch for, in my opinion, the Ravens used play-action pass at the 7th highest rate in the regular season. And then Jackson, he thrives with it, Superman Jackson, and he's a great quarterback. I have him as my NFL MVP, and he ranked in the top 7 in the league in QBR, completion percentage, and yards per attempt. But the Texans were among the worst defenses defending play action, and they ranked in the bottom of the 5 in QBR completion percentage and yards per attempt. So I think if you look at this game, obviously, in my opinion, is about Superman Lamar Jackson getting the Houston Texans back on their heels. The Ravens recorded 27 sacks with simulated pressure, more than any other team. Houston's offensive line needs to be ready if it's going to protect C.J. Stroud, and I don't think they can protect him. I think the Ravens are going to blitz him. He'll get some passes through the air. He'll get that too. But I think when you look at it, I think Baltimore's just too talented. Officiating in a year when officials threw more flags for intentional grounding, that's 61, than in any season since at least 2000. It should be noted that referee, I'm not going to get into the referees' names, but there are some referees that'll be looking to throw the flag 800 grammer. I don't like that part, but we know it's out there. and people talk about it. So just be careful. What does Las Vegas say, Big C? A betting nugget. The Ravens are 11-6 against the spread this season, and unders are 9-8. The Texans are 10-8 against the spread, including the playoffs. Unders are 11-7. I'm telling you, 9.5 is a point spread, and the Texans have nothing to lose. But the Ravens are I've seen them blow out teams. And I think you have Lamar Jackson. He's so driven this year, and that Ravens defense is stout. Play action pass is what they do. Houston's not good at stopping play action pass. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens at 35, the Houston Texans 21. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I think they cover the spread, but I may be foolish saying that because I know how the game works. I'm just going to say they're going to cover the spread, but I know my gut's telling me no. My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. So I'm telling you, as far as covering the point spread, it's hard to cover the point spread in the NFL. But the Baltimore Ravens, they've beaten a lot of teams by covering the point spread. And I'm not going to go against them because I saw what they did to San Francisco, and I saw what they did to a lot of good teams. And that's a team if they get past this first round, I think they're tough, and they know how to fight at Las Vegas. The game that I care about in Denver Hills, California, is Saturday, 8:15 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the 49ers are favored by 9.5. The over-under is 50.5. The number 7 seed Green Bay Packers at the number 1 seed San Francisco 49ers at beautiful Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Santa Clara, California. And it's an NFL record 10th playoff meeting between the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers, with San Francisco holding a 5-4 edge, making 6-4 after this week. And what's more, the Niners have won 6 straight NFC divisional round playoff games, the longest active streak in the NFL. And the winners will either take or share the title of the winningest team in postseason history. I'm going back to the days of Gene Washington with the 49ers. I think they're going to get it done. And the Green Bay Packers, they're tied with the Patriots at 37 and could move into a first-place tie along with the win, while the 49ers victory would tie them with Green Bay and New England. I got a thought for the 49ers. This team has been knocking on the door for so many years, and they lost that Super Bowl matchup to Kansas City a few years ago. And then they were down there in Los Angeles where they got knocked off by the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams went on to the Super Bowl and went on to win it. And then last year, they lost to Philadelphia. This team has just been knocking on that door. I think this is the year they get back to the promised land, and they will end up in Las Vegas playing with their erstwhile neighbors from the Bay Area in that Allegiant Stadium. So the 49ers, I think they're just an amazing team. But Romeo Doubs in week 3 and 4, Doubs led the way last week against the Cowboys. So perhaps the 49ers will roll their coverage this way. Reed set the franchise record for rookie catches with 64. I think it's stat to know the 49ers have won their past 5 home playoff games, and the longest active streak in the NFL, with 2 of those wins coming against the Green Bay Packers, 2012 and 2019. In the championship game, the 49ers have dominated those matchups with 4 of the 5 wins coming by 14 points. I just told you they're favored by 9.5. The over-under is 50.5. Now, quarterback Jordan Love, you think about how good he was last year in Dallas. It's a different kind of team in the 49ers. And they're expecting rain in San Francisco, Santa Clara. So that may slow the pace a little bit. But I think the 49ers, they have Armstead activated now. So with Young on one side, Bosa on the other, and then Young up the middle, it's going to be tough to move the ball against the 49ers, in my opinion. I don't know what happened to Dallas. But San Francisco receiver Deebo Samuels averaged about 8.8 yards after the catch, leading all wide receivers. Coach Kyle Shanahan, he's going to scheme open field opportunities for the great Deebo Samuels, which means he'll probably get at least a touchdown, maybe even 2. The Packers need to be on their A game in tackling because the 49ers break tackles, especially the great Deebo Samuels. Green Bay has to limit Samuels' numbers, but I don't think they can. You can get the ball out of the backfield running or short passes. He tends to break tackles downfield. I think the 49ers, in my opinion, according to Las Vegas, the Packers have won 4 straight games outright as underdogs, their longest underdog win streak in 2011 and 12. But this is a different breed of cat. I think the 49ers play well. Even though it's going to rain, Chris McCaffrey will get his chest in the win. I got San Francisco 35 and the Green Bay Packers 17. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. It's a great game. and I think the 49ers have it covered. I got another game coming up. I got the number 4 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at the number 3 seed, Detroit Lions, Sunday, 3 o'clock p.m. East Coast time on NBC Sports. Now, the spread is Detroit favored by 6.5. The over-under is 48.5. And when you think about this game, the Lions, I don't think they won a playoff game in about 30 years prior to winning last week against the Rams, and that was a close game. But the Lions, I think they're focused. Tampa Bay, they've been on like a pirate ship. It's not a good occupation of being a pirate. But the Lions will host their first NFC divisional round appearance since the 1991 playoffs, and these teams will clash for the second time this season after Detroit won the regular season matchup 20-6 at Tampa Bay. Buccaneers quarterback touchdown Baker Mayfield and Lions quarterback Jared Goff have both revitalized their careers in setting. They've been setting the world on fire. Jared Goff had a great game last week against the Rams, and Baker Mayfield played well too against Philadelphia. But think about these two former number 1 overall picks. I'm telling you, in my mind, I know Detroit's a better team. And I think Tampa Bay knows that too. Now, the Buccaneers defense is blitzed on 41% of dropbacks by opposing quarterbacks, the third highest rate in the NFL. So they're going to get after Jared Goff. They can look to dial up even more against Goff, who's had 7 turnovers when blitzed this season, tied for second most in the NFL. That's a clue. They're going to get to him, and they want to hit him. They want to hit him hard. But when you look at the Lions' edge rushers, Aiden Hutchinson, that good boy can play. He's on a 3-game multi-sack streak, coming off his 33% pass rush win. I'm telling you, he's going to get 2 sacks in this game against Baker Mayfield because oftentimes he'll roll himself into the coverage. I look at the receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown and the Buccaneers corner, Carlton Davis III, and one-on-one man coverage matchups. I like St. Brown. He had 124 yards against Tampa in Week 6. They're going to throw him the ball and throw it to him often. But what does Las Vegas think in this game? What does Las Vegas think, Big C? Both teams are 12-6 against the spread and is tied for the second best mark behind the Raiders at 12-5 against the spread. The unders are 12-6 in the Buccaneers games, while the overs are 11-7 in the Lions game. What does that mean, Big C? Detroit is on such a roll. The stadium is so loud. People are really able to get off their chest as they start chanting, "Reparations now! Reparations forever!" Because they know it's due. And because they're going to chant reparations so loud, I got Detroit winning that game 31-20. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, I think that's a good pick. I got to get to another game, the Kansas City Chiefs, the 3-seed Chiefs at the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. It's the first time that the Kansas City Chiefs under Patrick Mahomes have had to play a playoff game on the road outside of the Super Bowl. So the spread is a Sunday 6:30 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Now the spread, Buffalo favored by 2.5. The over-under is 45.5. What to watch for the first time between these two great quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the Chiefs are coming to Orchard Park for the postseason. As the quarterbacks have met 6 times, with the Bills winning 3 of the 4 regular season meetings, and the Chiefs taking both postseason games in 2020 and 2021. The difference for the Bills in this regular and postseason matchup is their defensive success. In the regular season, the Bills have held the Chiefs to 20 points per game and produced 9 takeaways. But in the playoffs, Kansas City has averaged 40 points and had only 1 turnover. There'll be a big test ahead for the Bills defense, dealing with a variety of plays by touchdown Patrick Mahomes. But what does Las Vegas think, Big C? I'm telling you what Las Vegas thinks. 800 gambler. Be careful with this game because the Vegas is saying Buffalo, but touchdown Patrick Mahomes, they've never lost to Buffalo in the playoffs. You got to keep that in mind. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes even if he's on the road. They don't have the pressure, but Las Vegas says Mahomes is 10-5 against the spread in his playoff career, including 7-2 against the spread when he's not at least a 7-point favorite. Allen is 3-6 against the spread in his playoff career. It's hard to go against a team that's been there and done that many, many times. But it feels like Buffalo, if you can't do it now, then there may be some changes coming in Buffalo. I'm going to say Las Vegas knows what they're doing. I think they're actually tired of seeing touchdown Patrick Mahomes because you got to change things up to keep the NFL interesting. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills 31 and Kansas City Chiefs 38. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Oh, you must be out of your mind, Big C. I might be out of my mind, but I think they're going to get it done this time. I just feel that. Buffalo is great. if they're poised to make some noise. That sounds like a good rhyme. They're poised to make some noise. I think they're poised to make some noise. But I also want to tell you, in this game of NFL football, I know I started the show with talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how important it is that we do get reparations passed for the sin as a child of slavery. It's important. In the NFL, Roger Goodell, I love how you have end racism on the back of end zones, and I applaud you. I want to applaud you for that. Anyone can criticize, but I do applaud you for that because you didn't have to do it. And Dr. King said, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend, and love transforms with redemptive power. You know, reparations is redemptive. You got to see what he was saying, because that's important. You also can Google. You don't have to take my word for it. Google California Senate Bill 490. It's recommended for the SB 490 Freedmen's Bureau in California, and that's put together by California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's a brilliant man. I love giving him praise. He's not shucking and jiving. I said earlier how people can remember songs of comparing the King of Pop versus the King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And which one did more for black Americans? Oh, there you go again, making it about black, BC. Well, the Homestead Act of 1862 and 1863, it made it all about white people. And even white Europeans, no white people scoffed at that. They didn't get back the 276 million acres of land. Did they give back the 276 million acres of land? How dare you say I talk too much about reparations? Give the land back! They took that land, got loans, built houses, built business, farmed it. The government even pays farmers not to farm. They didn't give that to black Americans. Black Americans' ownership of farms in the United States right now is about 1%. 1. And so anyone that say, oh, we don't need no reparations, have all the white families, you can trace legacies, have them all give that money back to the land that was given to them, and the white Europeans give it to black people. Oh, you talk about the past. Of course, talking about the past, because that's when the devilment happened. But don't you want to repair it? It's called redemptive justice. We want to repair things. I know you want to watch the game. You're going to watch the game, but the biggest game is being played right now at the White House. President Biden said, Executive Order 13985, they're studying reparations. They're studying it. And now in California, they've sent a proposal forward. They're past the studying phase. And most of our black brethren, they just want to stand up for the kickoff. Imagine, again, I'm just going to say it because it's true. Not knocking anybody. People like entertainment. Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp, they got paid a lot of money to tear down other black men. Tear them down! The more you tear down other black men, the more they'll make you famous. The more you sing about people shucking and jiving and beating it up and rubbing it down, smacking it up, rubbing it down, they'll make you nice and famous with a nice beat behind it. But what if we all say we love Dr. King, and Dr. King, he did whatever he could to make sure we got our reparations. He did the best way he could. People can criticize. Oh, he should have been more forceful. He did the best he could with what he had. But what are you doing? I point the finger at myself. And you point one finger at somebody, there's normally 3 pointing back at you. And a thumb. And I'm doing my best right now. I'm asking people to Google Senate Bill 490 because it's about reparations in California. Google it. You're going to watch the Niner game. You're going to Google the stats for Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. You're going to Google those stats. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. You're going to Google their stats. C.J. Stroud. You know you're going to Google their stats. You already know that. Everybody's going to Google this. Lamar Jackson. You guys are going to Google their stats. Google the stats for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Because what he did will benefit all of us. And I wish you all a very, very happy weekend as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at least on Big C Sports I do. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you say may be your own or somebody you love. That's an easy thing to do, but a lot of people don't do it. They drink and drive anyway. Crazy. Well, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. And as I always tell you, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat, because every time I hear Big C Sports say, reparations now, reparations forever, it makes Ali want to say it too. And you can too. We all can. Because we can all overcome. I know we're going to be glued in front of the TV watching the games, but many of those athletes, they won't say anything about Dr. King and reparations. I don't know why they're afraid. Did somebody tell them to shut up? I don't know. But you say you love Dr. King, at least, if you love Dr. King, at least champion what he talks about. Talk to our politicians, our senators, our congressmen, and ask them, do you support reparations? Because rumor has it, as some people say, no reparations, no vote. I want to clarify that. From my point of view, the people who vote for reparations are going to get the vote. At least with the black community, which seems to be the swing vote. If you're for reparations, you get my vote. That's what I'm hearing. And that's what it should be. I know you want to watch the game, but come on, it's more important. We're closing the chapter on MLK Holiday. But he was a great man. And we can't just treat him like he's just turn the page. Light the beam! Light the beam! You can light the beam when a certain team wins a game. But Dr. King talked about things that's great for everybody. So I honor President Abraham Lincoln when he said, what should Joe Biden do? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. He said like their team just won the game. People got frostbite watching Kansas City play last week. President Abraham Lincoln said, President Biden, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, y'all. You just said a little bit louder. It was freezing cold in Buffalo when the Steelers played the Buffalo Bills and people still turned up. All you got to do is say what President Abraham Lincoln said. He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.